In this project, we're going to be building a picture frame and exposing ourselves to 4 different woodworking joints. This is a mortise and tenon, followed by a half lap, followed by dowels, and lastly, pocket screws. This is a combination square. This is a thumb screw. You loosen and tighten it with your thumb. When you loosen it, you can slide this. You can slide it all the way off. And when you tighten it, it locks it in place. We're going to be using this a lot in this project. When it's locked in place, it tells you you have a perfect 90 degrees corner right here. So we're going to use that to check all 4 corners of our board and ensure that they're perfectly 90 degrees. If you're doubtful that your square is square, a quick check you can do is to just hold it, draw a line, and flip it. Hold it up against that line, it should be a perfect line. If it's not square, you'll get something that looks like maybe that. Now to get our board 4 square, which most of them you'll probably want to do, we're going to use the joiner, the planer, and the table saw. 3 tools. We can go through a couple of different options for order of operations to get the board 4 square. But they all start with running the face of the board on the joiner. Now the face of the board is the part that if you want to hit somebody in the face or smack them, that's the part you would use. So we're going to run this face across the joiner, which just has a bunch of blades right here and references these flat tables. For harder materials, I recommend using a push block, and if you've got really long material like this, especially if it's heavier, you may want to have some supporting stands that are level with the tables. So that this side's flat on the joiner, we're going to label it the working face. Now one might say, can we just run the other side through the joiner? And that will give you 2 flat faces, but not 2 parallel faces. So we're going to take this labeled working face, and we're going to put them face down and use the planer. Flat working face, if we put it on this flat table, there's cutter heads that are in here that are parallel at that table. That'll give us the flat parallel face. So I'm just going to feed this through the planer, removing just a half turn at a time max. Decided to go down this path for getting our board 4 square, which meant we've got a working face that's flat, and then we've created the opposite face that's also flat and parallel by using the planer. Next thing we need to do is run either edge on the joiner and then run the opposite edge on the table saw, because that follows the same logic in that this will get us a flat edge, this will give us the flat parallel edge. When we run our board through, we're going to run the edge, not the face smacking face of the board, the edge through the joiner like so, making sure that our flat face is referenced to this flat face the entire time, meaning it's like tight in there. You're not just doing so much downward pressure and floating, you're doing light downward and inward pressure and floating it across. Face was against the fence. I'm going to label this working edge, and then it doesn't hurt during this whole process to double check. Someone can adjust that angle on that fence or it could get knocked out of whack. So I'm going to use my combination square and make sure that it's square. It's looking good. Working face across the joiner and put the opposite face through the planer to create 2 flat and parallel sides. We just ran a working edge on the joiner. Now we're going to run the opposite edge on the table saw to create a flat and parallel side. We also discussed that you could have just stayed at the joiner after running your face, ran the edge, label that working edge, and then at this point you have 2 more options, which are the same steps, just slightly rearranged. So this is what I have labeled as my working edge. and I'm going to put my working edge up against this fence, which is parallel to this blade. So this fence is flat, we know this edge is flat, this flat surface is parallel, so if this edge references this fence, and this fence is parallel to the blade, it makes sense that this edge will come out flat and parallel as well. This will be the last step. We'll have a 4-square board. And right here, I'm not too worried about dimensions for this project. I'll show you why later. But I'm just gonna take like half a tooth width, just enough off that I know that it'll come out flat and parallel. That any staples are not gonna go into that blade or anything. It will trigger the safety mechanism and give us quite a bit of downtime and loss of money. So pull these out. Point, we should have a board that's completely 4-square. Looks pretty good. Series on how to build a picture frame that mainly had to do with getting your board 4-square. Again, check out the flow chart in the shop, or if you're watching this outside the shop, I'll post a link or description of that flow chart. You don't have to go in that order I demonstrated. I'll also remind you that we focused on just getting the board 4-square. We kind of ignored the dimensions of what we wanted that board to be. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Post your feedback. Have a good night, day, afternoon, whatever moment you're experiencing. Have a good one.